Fantasy Football Podcast.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the O'Reilly Fantasy Football Podcast. We spiced it up a little bit here. Week 3, recapping week 2, going into this season, season underway here. I am joined by my co-host, Kevin King, as always, and our special guest this week is Mr. Joe Fusco. And Joe's got a little prop here.
What's up,
Joe,
guys? How's everybody doing?
Dr.
little
Knight.
night mask. I like it. One of the
What are those
only
checks? What are those?
Craigo, check. Patio, check. And then we got the space for William Wallace all ready to go come next week.
Ooh, I
Wow.
like it. I like it. Taking names like the Undertaker here. Really like that. Going into week 3, spicing up the competition, Joe. So let's just off the bat, how do you feel about your team? How they've been performing so far to kick off the 2023 season?
I feel all right. I mean, I'm very fortunate, I think, to be 2-0. Given some of the injuries. I mean, I knew about the Cooper Cup injury going into it, but the Eckler one kind of sucked. But to be 2-0 at this point and kind of just keep treading water till I get totally healthy, I think. Even Kittle's been banged up, and
You got Eckler too on the bench.
Eckler. Well, he missed last week. Cup's missed both weeks. So to not have your first or second round pick and still be 2-0, I think I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Oh yeah, and I mean, well, I think you got the steal of the draft so far, and Brian Robinson. He's been unreal, production wise here. The running back for the Washington Communists, 13 and 28 points. I mean, that's when did you draft this guy? 10th round, something like that. Something like
I don't know if it was 10th, but it might have been 8th or 9th. Definitely later on.
Later on, and these are the guys that can help you win a league here. Tougher matchup going into week 4 or week 3, Buffalo, Philadelphia, but definitely can't pump the brakes, especially Kenneth Walker's been great too. And having Mahomes tends not to hurt too much.
Yep.
At the quarterback position. But let's dive right in here. We're gonna go look at some of our waiver transactions. Big week coming off the Nick Chubb injury.
Yeah, big money.
Well, let's just call it how it is straight out. We have one team that has exhausted all fab in the week 3 waiver wire, and that would be James's team. He went $60 in on Ford and then $40 in on Hunt. I have been told that it was a mistake to go 40 on Hunt, and I think that is supported by the fact that nobody else bid on him. So I think he doesn't feel too good about that. My sources are him. It's a direct source, and at least now he's got a starting running back in Cleveland guaranteed, because one of them is gonna take the spot.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that James put 40 on him, but I also felt like it was like, okay, well, I'm guaranteeing this backfield. He had the sense to know that Kareem Hunt was coming to the Cleveland Browns. And I mean, James put the magic number there with 60. I mean, Billy put in 58 on Jerome Ford, just barely edging him out. Kev with 54. This is a very competitive. I mean, I look at these 11, 12. It's like, come on, you guys knew. He's the waiver pickup of the season, maybe. Besides Puka Nacua.
Who are the two teams that didn't go for him? Narco. Buzzsaw. No, he's in there.
Buzzsaw's in there.
Who's the other team?
Even Daily News is in there. Is it just it looks like it's Craig didn't go in there.
Okay. So Craig all right, smart. I guess they probably figured. I don't know. My dad hasn't made a move yet, even in his lineup. So
he hasn't.
Does he know how to make a move?
He knows how. I've been showing him. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's got a solid team right now.
Definitely.
He's one of the highlights of the league stories to kick off here. Joe outbidding me by a couple bucks for the Pittsburgh defense, and Josh Reynolds were the other highlights of the waiver wire this week. But we'll do a little recap of week 2 here. let's get it started with Kev's upset of the week. His picked upset of the week. He picked Daily News to just completely blow out the Ravagers here, and Mike proved him wrong. Mike put up what a week for Mike.
I think that was Billy's. That was Billy's pick of the week.
Was
My
that
pick
Bill?
was me
Billy's.
beating James.
Okay,
And,
well, we're gonna start with Bill. We're gonna start with Billy's blowout of the week here that he was completely wrong on. Obviously a little bit hurt going into week 4, as are all the Giants fans listening in the audience, with Saquon Barkley missing this week and potentially a couple other games here. But I feel like this is a monumental win for Mike. He wasn't the best season for him last year. I think it's one of those you throw in it was like the Giants from 2017 to 2021. You just threw in the towel and said forget about it. But his boys really made a big appearance this week.
Yeah, I think I was actually pretty surprised. Oh, well, I guess Uncle Chris's team still put up good numbers. I feel like Uncle Chris's team is going to be probably bidding for the top spot if his guys don't get injured, because it looks like who he's got are pretty stable. Like Jared Goff, it almost seems like a no-brainer that this guy was going to be a great, late round quarterback. I don't know why he got such a bad name when they traded him from the Rams to Detroit, because he always could air it out when he had Cooper Kupp and who was it, Brandon Cooks. So
Robert Woods.
Right, yeah. So his team's good, but yeah, I was surprised how bad he got blown out.
Yeah. I mean, he's been getting great production from the Dallas defense too, which has just been unbelievable.
That's the highest scoring slot in the league. In the whole league. I think 69 points, and that's more than any other player or position. So, I mean, how long is that going to stay up? They're playing Arizona, so maybe
should keep it going one more week at least.
At least, right?
Well, not if they play like the Giants did this past week against the Arizona Cardinals, which I'll appreciate that second half comeback, but oh man, you need to come more prepared like that to play a team like Arizona, with making Josh Gibbs look like he's Dan Marino out there in the first half. It was unbelievable. So I'm happy for Mike here. I think it's a big win, but Daily News put up one of the higher point totals here. I believe he has the most. Well, he put up the highest total last week. It's going to be very hard to take that mantle from him, especially if he's averaging 130 a clip here. Then Kev, we'll go into your projected blowout of the week here. James, the nice upset of Kev here. Even though he lost Nick Chubb for the season, he carried me to a title last year. I'm a Nick Chubb guy at heart. Till the day I die. That's a tough way to lose your season.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good about this game into the Giants halftime. And then, everyone knows what happened. So I talked a lot of shit. I think I'll see James again. I'm not worried about it. I think my team's better than his. But I am happy that the Giants popped off and got a win. So it's not all it's not all for loss. Who was the other one, Tim? Who was your upset pick of the week?
Great question. I think I picked Narco. I believe I went with Narco here. Joe, any thoughts on James versus Kev before we move on?
No, I mean, I'm just looking at the teams here. I mean, Kev, I think you got a solid squad. That's kind of just what I'm checking out. Cam Akers now in Minnesota.
Yeah, the running backs are going to be so I might be shopping around a trade sooner than later.
Yeah, I might be able to help you out. I'm looking for a wide receiver. Might be able to
some
make magic.
live trade negotiations here. I love it. I can broker the deal here, boys. Live on the air. Feeling a little Zay Flowers. Just feels like a nice movable piece for Kev. Or even Jerry Jeudy. Hopefully he's rebounding healthy there for some depth. We want to have that talk. Let's transition nicely into Night versus Buzzsaw here. See if we can't make something happen here. With a little trade. Joe, this is your team. This is your win. I'm sure you were following it intently with every waiting breath.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I got rid of the red zone and all that stuff now that I have the kids and I'm running around with soccer, on Sundays and whatnot. But I wanted to really kind of check in on the Kansas City Jacksonville game a lot. That was a big one for this matchup, anyways, with Pat having the quarterback and the wide receiver, and then me having Mahomes in that game. But anytime you stack it with a quarterback wide receiver and the quarterback doesn't get anything, your chances are really not great. So I was
Yeah.
feeling good right after the 1 o'clock games for sure.
Yeah, having Ridley with 5 and Ridley, I know he had a monster week. Yeah, he had 24 week 1, 5 week 2, just 2 catches for 32 yards. It's not what you were hoping for with your second round pick there. Kyle Pitts, potential waiver fodder. Looking at that Atlanta team, they're a feisty little team, but they just like to run that football, huh?
Yeah, I mean Robinson's been great so far for Pat, and even Uncle Chris has was it Algier? He's been pretty good too.
Yeah, Algiers been good. This is a bit of a low scoring affair here, but I feel like Brian Robinson was the one that kind of won you that game, that was able to bring you out the fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
I mean
I would also say that Pat left some serious points on the bench. He had Russell Wilson go for 34 and Pickens go for 28. So, maybe some roster mismanagement.
You
Who's to
know,
say? But that's always tough.
throwing Pickens in. I think you wouldn't have started Lawrence over Wilson, but you could definitely have made a case for Pickens over Williams with Deontay Johnson out for Pittsburgh.
Also, all 3 Robinsons in the league firing off in this matchup. Little tidbit, little William Wallace tidbit right there.
that's a fun fact.
That's a Billy fact right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I was trying to do some research of my own today because Billy came hot with the tight end defense point totals last week. He was ready to go, and I didn't have any Excel spreadsheets to kind of match him.
Yeah, I think he might be born for this stuff. We might have him as a recurring guest.
Oh, yeah.
Might have to make him the third guy just to have the man in the chair to throw some stats out. We've seen how he crafts that beautiful draft board that he makes every summer for draft season.
If you guys could see the smile on his older sister's face right now, I've never seen her prouder.
You're gonna get an Alley camo?
We need a guest appearance, Allie.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that Billy managed to graduate high school and college is definitely something that Allie's pretty proud of. But I think his Excel knowledge is definitely something that she brags a lot about, particularly at like Fusco gatherings. She's always mentioning how good Billy is at Excel.
Allison, do you think Billy is a top 1% Excel user in the world?
Oh my God.
She can't say she's such a proud sister right now that she can't even like really speak.
Well, I'm glad to hear it,
Yeah.
Allison. Nice to
Tim,
have you brief cameo here.
Tim,
But
let's move on to your upset pick of the week before we lose track of time.
I'm getting to it. I got it here. Don't worry. We're going
Real quick while you're switching, I don't know if this applies on 4-point touchdown leagues, but Russell Wilson on that one play, I saw it went from like being like the 14th ranked quarterback to like the number 4 ranked quarterback just on that
Really?
one play last week. Yeah.
Wow.
We'll see them. It's still so early, but big play.
And we also have those big long touchdown bonuses, and he had that nice Hail Mary to get him there. So Uncle Dan, the newest member of the O'Reilly Fantasy League, putting up 139 here, consistent across the board, taking down Craig. Craig looking at some injuries with Montgomery going down in his running back 2 position. He's got, Waddle looks like he's questionable as well, but Kev, you're the direct line with Uncle Dan. How's he feeling going into week 3?
Yeah, I gave him a call, and he just said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I told him maybe swap in Pittman or Mostert. He said he'll think about it, but I don't think he's gonna ride with his guys right now. So he was a man of few words this week. He just said he was happy that he won.
Yeah. Definitely. And Craig put up a solid performance there. 116 would have beaten me, that's for sure. He might beat me this week, but he's Craig's looking at some injuries here, but it's still early. There's still plenty of time to turn it around for his squad.
I think the thing
Yeah.
too with Uncle Danny's team is Chase really hasn't done much yet either.
Yeah, he hasn't,
You know?
Burrow's been hurt and it hasn't been, what
Yeah.
it's been in Cincinnati the past couple of years. So, give it 2 or 3 weeks and he's undefeated. And then Chase, puts up a 115 yards, 2 TD game.
Yeah, he also Narco also has Kendra Miller on his bench, which is interesting because he might show up and play this week and is expected to, have some sort of production. So it could be a flash in the pan. I don't know. He might not even make the starting roster for my dad's team at this point, but it's interesting the depth that he has.
Yeah, he drafted a great team on draft day, assisted by Kevin was at least calling in the picks, but I know Uncle Dan was making his team. Kirk Cousins living up to his draft position at the 4th overall.
If I remember correctly, I heard a little bit of a mocking question mark from you when he made that draft pick, and so far he's been one of the best, if not the best quarterback. So sometimes you got to get your guy.
You go get your guy. It was definitely a questioning of it because he could have probably drafted him like 2 rounds later and still gotten him. But hey, he got his guy and it's working out for him.
I had heard there was confusion actually. I had heard that at the Cabana, they were like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I got a football draft with the Cousins," and then we all thought he took Cousins.
Oh, you know what?
I think he kind of got lucky. There was some confusion at the Cabana.
That might have been what happened. Yeah, there was a couple of martinis going.
Yeah,
margaritas. There were a couple of drinks flowing.
Yeah, listen, he keeps this up. Everyone's going to want to draft at the Cabana next year. It's going to be the spot.
Sure.
We re-upped. We re-upped. So
draft might have to
be
on
the list, right? How are we on the list?
For
Future Cabana, yeah. I think
I got a
very nice.
2037. I'm going to get one. I think.
Yeah. I got called for a locker this year. So if you want it, I could sign up and give it to you guys.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Well, pulling up my matchup here. My team is well, let's just say I have 2 prayers right now that the legend of Puka Nakua, the steal of the week one waiver wire so far, continues his magic touch with the Rams. And Alvin Kamara returns to form because my team right now is just a dumpster fire.
Now, what I'm interested in, Tim, is that you went and got Nakua
and then didn't play him,
and then you didn't play him.
Yeah,
I bid for him because you got to just bid for the guys on waivers. I kind of said, all right, like this is a rookie kid. He did it 1 week. They're playing the Niners. Niners have a great defense. Let me see it again. That was my thought process. It was wrong because if I had Nakua in over, AJ Brown, which I, realistically would never have done in a million years, my first round pick, who has been nothing but disappointment for me. I wanted to see what he was going to do against the top defense in the league, and he proved me wrong, and now he's an every week must start guy for me.
Are you gonna shop around for quarterbacks?
Me?
Are you riding with Tagovailoa?
I'm riding with Tua. He had 28 week 1, 13 week 2 at New England. That's a tough matchup. He's got some butter cake matchup week 5 against the Giants, so I think he'll be all right there. The way that defense is playing, I'm gonna ride with Tua for now, but I'm kind of in a position. I don't even know what I have to trade at this moment.
Yeah.
And then Sloan over here at the Tyler Lockett, I think, is what really did me in here. 25 points from Tyler, just blowing out his projection for there. Olave, nice game. Steven, he has a nice, well-rounded team here. Sloan, probably wouldn't recommend using the New York Giants defense again anytime soon, though.
And isn't it crazy how much the defenses took a backseat this week compared to week 1? Like week 1, there were like whatever it was, 10 defenses with like 20 plus points. This week there were tons with I think a couple of teams had negative.
Yeah, it was not a good week for defenses relatively, but offenses are starting to gel a little bit more after that week one. There'll be more points on the board. Another stinker of a tight end battle. How nice would it have been if I could have slid Puka Nakua in there over Njoku and Sloan throwing in Najigba over Dalton Schultz. I'm on the wide receiver tight end flex position because we're getting to a point with these tight ends that they're just stinky.
So actually, go back to the draft. I wanted Kelsey. I thought for sure I was going to get Kelsey, and I was going to have the stack of the Kansas City with Mahomes and Kelsey. And then right before I got to pick, Bill took him.
Well, that's a great transition here for Billy, getting his first win of the season here with a nice win against my dad. Bill Kelsey returning didn't hit his projections, but they're easing him in to the season, I'd imagine. Kansas City looks like they're still figuring some things out on offense. You would have thought they put up more than 17 points against the Jaguars. But his receiving core is doing great. Adams and St. Brown. Madison seems like he's a rough spot, and that trade for Cam Akers makes you question if he's this guy. But I look at Jalen Warren and I was watching that game Monday night, and Najee Harris is the slowest guy I've ever seen play football. Like, I don't know how you don't go with Jalen Warren going forward for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah, Billy called a shot. He said he was going to make a comeback here. Amon-Ra St. Brown might have turf toe or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know who he's matched up with. We'll take a look at it, but for next week. But
He's got me.
oh, he's got you, right?
Yeah.
So it's automatic loss.
Yeah, that's why we
loss.
got the WW up there.
WW.
And you know what? Another Sestito blunder.
Oh yeah,
Uncle Bob drafted Kyron Williams and benched him too.
Kyron Williams, Christian Kirk, a lot of points on the board here. He might have to start going with Dak, because I was watching that Bears Tampa game, and Justin Fields is brutal. And did you see the defensive coordinator went missing, and he just resigned like 2 hours ago? Just submitted a paper. It's like, oh, that team is an utter disaster. Yeah, I think my dad has a pretty good team. I mean, especially with DeAndre Swift putting up, these kind of big numbers as long as he's healthy, because he plays like 7 games a week. But Kyron Williams, the Rams being a real surprise team this year after taking all of last season off.
Yeah, I would be concerned with your dad's team, the 3 running backs that he's going to cycle through. Because I feel like any guy he chooses to sit is going to end up having a big day. It just feels like that type of thing. Like ETN, I think, is matched up against Houston next week. Like, he could have a big game, but do you want to bench him or
you're not going to bench
Swift? You're right. So you might have to put one of them into your flex, and then you lose the wide receiver. So it's an issue. It's a good issue to have, but it's an issue.
It's an issue, and it makes trades more interesting, where maybe you trade some ponies for a horse to a team like mine that's stinking and needs some production here. That's our week 2 recap. Looking ahead here to week 3, we got Craig and myself, Ravagers versus Sean's Inheritance, City Dogs versus Night. Joe very much not favored in this matchup. Daily News versus James, my dad versus the Bolshevik Billies, and Narco versus the Buzzsaw. Joe, to you, who do you predict to be the biggest blowout of this week?
I think I gotta stick with Uncle Chris. I think he's just putting up some points, and he's got himself a decent matchup here. Which team is it? I don't even know. I'm not. Everyone's names to me look like so like close. They're all with the G's and stuff. Oh, this is James. All right, so yeah, I definitely think this is almost like low hanging fruit. I feel like picking Uncle Chris to kind of blow out James here. No offense, James is my guy. But I don't know. Uncle Chris just seems like he's kind of the team to beat. I almost feel like right now, even though he got the loss last week. It's going
They
to take
get
a big number to beat them.
It's going to take a big number to beat them, especially with that defense, that Dallas defense. Just
He's got the two highest scoring players in the league. If you count the defense as a player, he's got, Dallas defense and then Tyreek Hill. So I don't see either of them slowing down this coming week. Tyreek Hill is always good for 20 plus, and the Dallas defense looks tremendous.
Yeah, in a year that you're hating on tight ends, he's got a tight end who produces too, so that's kind of been a big advantage for him also.
He's the only guy. And then Kev, who do you pick for your upset of the week? Blowout of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Sean's inheritance. I think he's gonna keep it moving. It's projected to be equal, but go into their matchup.
It's about even right there. 52 to 48 point underdog.
Yeah, I like Herbert in Minnesota. I don't think that their defense can stop anybody year after year. So, I think that he can have a big day. And, I also think for some reason Bill Belichick can always dismantle the Jets, and I think Stevenson is going to have a big day too.
Yeah, I like that pick there. I could see Sloan, but hey, Michael's team's got a boom team here. This team could just explode at any minute. For me, I gotta have a little faith in myself. I think my boys are gonna turn it around here. I'm picking myself.
This is the battle of the 0-2ers. So this is battle for last place here.
This is the battle for 11th place. I'm throwing Puka in the lineup. This is my last week without Kamara. Jacobs has been slow to start, but he held out all training camp. But I'm looking at him and I see potential. Pittsburgh's Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford running up and down that defense, and it's very hard to throw against them. So I can see Jacobs having himself a nice game in prime time at home against the Steelers here. I like my chances, and I'm gonna pick myself here. I gotta have a little faith. I can't wait for this to blow up in my face, and I lose tremendously.
Well, either way you called it, you
gotta
hedge get there by saying it's gonna blow up in your face. So you're good though.
Yeah, well, Uncle Chris, Sean's inheritance were picked. I didn't necessarily feel the blowouts and any of the other ones, so I had to pick myself there. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, but I think I'll win. So it's
still very early. I don't know, going back to Craig's team, if he can get Mixon, or if Mixon does get going. I think his team improves tremendously. The entire Cincinnati team has been terrible. So see what happens. And potentially we could have a team that goes 3-0, or two teams that are 3-0. And I think like the 3-win slot is where you could say a team is undefeated. I think 2-0, you can't be like, oh, I'm undefeated. You are, but I think 3-0 is where it's at. So
there's only two of them.
Yeah, I know. It's from the guy who's, what are you, 1-1? I'm 2-0. I'm undefeated. I have yet to be defeated.
All right, you shouldn't be bragging about it. 3-0, I say okay, but 2-0, I mean.
Honestly, my team has been more about who I've played more so than what my team has done. I've kind of just been lucky with the schedule Yahoo threw together, right? I don't think I would have beat too many teams last week. So I take them. Listen, win now makes it a little bit easier. 8 weeks from now, trying to make the playoffs. So I'll take it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You have two players listed as some of the top. I think two in the top 10, Mahomes and Brian Robinson. So, I mean, that's always pretty solid. I always like looking at who has the best players in the league, and it's usually whoever has like two players in the top 10, they're usually making the playoffs. So, not backed by any type of science, just purely observation. But I think you're looking good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm sure I just like Tim kind of said, I definitely ran my mouth a little bit. I'm sure Billy, if I could change my pick, I might pick Billy for the blowout of the week, to be honest with you.
Oh, you gotta have a little faith in yourself.
Oh no. In fact, I'm thinking about we're talking about inviting him over on Sunday.
Oof.
I'll see what he says about this podcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll
You
see
got anything else, Tim?
that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the new intro. This will be up on YouTube shortly. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.